You're walking down Ella Street, San Francisco one morning, and during your trip, you see a lady sweeping feces and other materials off the porch of her business. When asking her about it, she tells you that some homeless people slept on her porch and the police were too busy doing other things to remove them, causing her to have to clean up their mess and making her lose customers. Unfortunately, this is a real story, and many others like it exist all throughout California. California has the most severe homeless crisis out of any state in the US, and our state leaders keep on making the same mistakes and are failing to rectify this horrible situation. Despite countless bills being put into effect, they're all making the same mistakes over and over and have shown little to no improvement in reducing the homeless rates. So why should we care? To put it in the simplest terms, it strains money, hurts people's businesses, reduces the overall quality of living. In regards to morality, helping those in need is one of the United States' key principles. So, how do we start fixing this? Well, it's not something that will happen immediately, but the largest thing is pushing for policies that focus on these things. Repeat homeless offenders need to be jailed or institutionalized, not given a slap on the wrist like many are. Programs providing ways to get jobs need to be the number one priority in spending and focus. Medicare needs to be distributed more equally among homeless people, and the top people using it need to be prevented from abusing it. And mental health issues should be the second largest priority in policies. What happens when a homeless person is found doing a misdemeanor by the police or trespassing on private property? Oftentimes they will be held overnight in a police station and then nothing will come of it. A large number of these are understandable, where the homeless person has nowhere else to go. However, a large number of these are repeat offenders, constantly doing this because they get away with it every time. How do we rectify this? There are two ways that will most likely be the most effective. A database for these misdemeanors, even a small, just to see how many times these people are attempting this, and large public places for sleeping. In regards to the first point, repeat offenders need to get larger prison sentences the more they repeat crimes. A man can go to jail 13 times within 3 years and not even spend a year in prison. Instead of sending someone to jail 13 times, let's send them to jail for longer periods of time for every cumulative crime they do, while making sure to give them help when they're released. This jail to street to jail cycle is so bad because prisoners are thrown out on their own and not given any guidance, forcing them back into their old ways. And if we give the exact same sentences every time, they'll be just as encouraged the 10th time they do it as the second. In addition to this, we don't give these people in jail programs to help them get back on their feet. Businesses are hesitant to hire ex-convicts, and the government doesn't try to help much. In addition to this, hosting a criminal for one night is ridiculously more expensive per day than hosting a criminal for a month or more. According to a University of Texas's 2-year survey of homeless individuals, each person costs taxpayers $14,480 per year, primarily for overnight jail. This drains money that could go elsewhere while encouraging these people to commit the same crimes over and over again. To follow this up, most of these offenses are for trespassing, mainly because they have nowhere else to go. Creating these types of centers wouldn't be cheap, and the centers themselves would most likely be run down within a few days, but it would still be safer as police would be able to constantly monitor it and keep those within it safe, and it would give these people a roof over their heads and prevent them from dying of hypothermia. As mentioned previously, the reason so many homeless people are out on the street is because they can't get a job or they're not given proper help. 34% of homeless people say receiving employment assistance would help them climb out, while 47% say getting counseling and mental health services would help them. These services need to be the main focus of our spending, not the $695 million bill going into Medicare, which itself is abused by 5% of homeless people, which I'll get into in a minute. What should be done instead is mental health facilities of all types, ranging from drug and alcohol addiction to severe brain damage, should be built or improved and presented to the homeless community. And instead of a $750 million bill going into building new units, establish centers where homeless people can find and get a job so they can either move out of California or buy an already existing place. Because the price of living in California is already so high that these units won't end up helping homeless people at all. They'll be bought by others looking for a cheap place to live. Unfortunately, with coronavirus, these are currently extremely hard to run, but we need to look to the future and not get stuck in the present. Homeless were already hit in the hardest by COVID-19, and the best way to help them in the future is by establishing these resources they can use. Finally, is the money that goes into Medicare. 5% of users of this system take over 85% of the funds because they constantly use and abuse the system. These people need to be stopped through institutionalization or, unfortunately, by sending them to prison. It may not be the most moral thing to them, but we need to redistribute the wealth to the other 95% using these systems. In addition, this kind of abuse is what keeps them doing these things, similar to the welfare program statistics. When Lyndon B. Johnson signed these, the number of single mothers, specifically in impoverished communities, over doubled. This doesn't mean we should get rid of it, but it shows that it clearly needs reform and redistribution of how much each person gets to use it. I hope this has, at the very least, revealed to you the serious crisis that is homelessness in California. And even if you disagree with these methods of going about it, hopefully you will help to try to rectify this problem by voting in people that will at the very least try new ways to solve this rather than repay bills that have not reduced homelessness at all, but in contrast has seen hopelessness rise through their implementations. This is a social issue that affects everyone living in California, and I dream that one day, with the help of everyone, the way California deals with homelessness will be respected and revered worldwide.